Hello, this is Dreher, and I'm speaking to you from the music studio in Davidson Hall on the campus of the John C. Campbell Folk School in Brasstown, North Carolina. Since 1994, it has been my privilege and my pleasure to be the MC of the Brasstown Follies, the camp talent show that occurs every year during Winter Dance Week. I asked Bob Dulcimer, when did the Brasstown Follies start? And he said he wasn't sure, but he thought that there had always been a Follies while there was a Winter Dance Week. It's always been a tradition at camps to have a talent show like this. The Follies has expanded over the years. The first time we had it, or the beginning, it was down at the basement of Keith House. When Davidson Hall was built, it was moved up here to the music studio. Expanding the Follies gave me the opportunity to add a few things to it. For example, the backdrop behind me, which was created by Linda Nolan in Dallas, Texas, was added. There was a sign, which you'll see here in a separate video, advertising the Brasstown Follies, which hangs over the entrance to the hall now. And also I decided we needed to have some grand opening type of thing like they have at movie theaters in the 30s and the 40s with spotlights going back and forth. You'll see them at the very end of this video too. Winter Dance Week did not happen in 2020 because of the pandemic. Instead, I'm bringing you the best of the Brasstown Follies, culled from over 30 plus hours of videos that we've acquired going back to 2001. Now the quality of the videos will be variable because these were the video equipment we had back then was not as good as we do have now. So don't adjust your TV, don't adjust your monitor. The Brasstown Follies videos that I chose, I think will give you a representative feel for what a typical Follies was. We have some dancing, we have some music, we have songs, we have some skits, we have some poetry. In other words, it's a variety show. Anyone who has seen the Follies as I've been an MC knows that I inject little magic tricks every now and then, either to move the show along or to slow it down a little bit while people set up equipment and so forth for the next act behind me. So some of those magic tricks have been really, really good. And others have been, oh, what's the word, Verly?
Stinko.
Yeah, that's the word. Anyway, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2004 Brasstown Follies! 2007 Brasstown Follies! Welcome to the 2013 Brasstown Follies! To the 2015 Brasstown Follies! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Brasstown Follies! The 2020 Brasstown Follies! Burley Spivey wrote a song about the Possum Drop. The Possum Drop is an event that occurs at Clay's Corner every New Year's Eve, where a possum is lowered in a cage at midnight, sort of poking fun a little bit at the time ball that falls in New York every year. He is joined by Robert Forsyth in this singing of the Possum Drop, and it has become the standard opening for the Brasstown Follies. Please welcome Burley and Robert. We are going to have a great time tonight, just as soon as we get this show over with. We have all sorts of talent tonight, and I do mean good talent. So without further ado, let's start the show with Robert and Burley.
Hello, I'm Robert, and this is Burley, and it was our fervent wish that by popular demand, we would do a reprise of O Possum Drop. Due to lack of popular demand, we're going to do it instead as a benefit. As past Vice President of the Brasstown Civic Association, I'd like to ask you all to consider the Possum Drop. If you'd like to support it, in a monetary way, you could write a check to the Possum Drop. All checks to the Brasstown Civic Association are, of course, tax deductible, since the money will eventually be going to the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals.
In Brasstown's fair city, where Miss Possum's quite pretty, they have an event that they call Possum Drop. If you're feeling quite blue and you've nothing to do, you should watch that old possum go plop. Oh, possum drop, oh, possum drop, oh. They have an event that they call Possum Drop. Oh, possum drop, oh, possum drop, oh. It's fun to watch that old possum go plop. Yes, he's hung from the gable of a gas station stable in a plexiglass cage on a Long Island rope. If you stand neath that possum, you could get a brown blossom. Don't require lots of soap. Oh, possum drop, oh, possum drop, oh. They have an event that they call Possum Drop. Oh, possum drop, oh, possum drop, oh. It's fun to watch that old possum go plop. I know it's hard to believe, but on New Year's Eve, old Brasstown is filled up with lots of folks. And though the county is dry, it was easy to spy that what they were drinking's not Coke. Oh, possum drop, oh, possum drop, oh. They have an event that they call Possum Drop. Oh, possum drop, oh, possum drop, oh. It's fun to watch that old possum go plop. They have a contest to find out the best Miss Possum to serve for the upcoming year. And the beauty's so fine, it can cause one to whine and tremble over in fear. Oh, possum drop, oh, possum drop, oh. They have an event that they call Possum Drop. Oh, possum drop, oh, possum drop, oh. It's fun to watch that old possum go plop. As the old year it ends, you can stand among friends that you met at least an hour before, and chant while they lower a fur ball to the floor, while you stand there and freeze off your buns. Oh, possum drop, oh, possum drop, oh. They have an event that they call Possum Drop. Oh, possum drop, oh, possum drop, oh. It's fun to watch that old possum go plop.
One of the constant surprises I had as MC for the Brasstown Follies was people that would come up and ask if they could be on the Follies. I had no idea what they did, or maybe they were actually quiet during the whole week, but they wanted to be on stage. The following performance is by Billy Cox, who I found out was a fabulous singer and a fabulous auto harp player. And I'm really happy to present this video from, I believe it was 2002. So please welcome Billy Cox. Back and do another song. This is Billy Cox. Yay.
We're going to do two instrumentals. I'm going to do a short part of Elizabeth Cotton's Freight Train, and JD and I are going to do Wheels.
of magic, the Chinese linking rings, where two solid steel rings pass right through one another. Never did much for me either, Okay. We'll try it with just two. A classic of magic, the Chinese linking rings, where two solid steel rings link. You know, this getting older stuff is a real pain. I can't see what I'm doing anymore. A classic of magic, the Chinese linking rings, where the... Sometimes these things... The Chinese linking rings! All right, I better bring out the next act. One of the regulars at camp was Dottie Morgan, who had a poem, Albert and the Lion, and a follow-up poem, sort of Albert and the Lion Part 2. She's performed it many times, and I just could not have the Brasstown Follies without including her. So please welcome Dottie Morgan. Well, our next person asked me, she said, I've done this before. Is it okay if I do it again for the show? And I asked her, well, what are you going to do? And when she told me, I said, no one ever gets tired of this. You're going to love her. Dottie Morgan doing Albert. No? Yes.
Yes.
Albert and the Lion.
I've got my cheat sheets just in case I forget something. Okay. Good. I will apologize a little bit to those who've heard this before, but I really love this story, and I think the kids will like it too. There's a famous seaside place called Blackpool. It's noted for fresh air and fun. And Mr. and Mrs. Ramsbottom went there with young Albert, their son. A grand little lad was young Albert, all dressed in his best, quite a swell, with a stick with an horse's head and all, the finest that Woolworths could sell. Well, they didn't think much of the ocean, the waves they was fiddling in small. There was no wrecks and nobody drowned. In fact, nothing to laugh at all. So seeking for further amusement, they paid and went into the zoo, where they'd lions and tigers and camels, and old ale and sandwiches too. There were one big old lion named Wallace, whose nose were all covered with scars, and he lay in a somnolent posture with the side of his face to the bars. Now Albert had heard about lions, how they was ferocious and wild. To see Wallace lying there so peaceful, well, it just didn't seem right to the child. So straightway the brave little fella, not showing a morsel of fear, took his stick with the horse's head handle and shoved it in Wallace's ear. You could see that the lion didn't like it, for given a kind of a roll, he pulled Albert inside the cage with him and swallowed the little lad whole. Then Pa, who had seen the occurrence and didn't know what to do next, said, "Mother, yon lion's it, Albert." And Mother said, I am vexed." Then Mr. and Mrs. Ramsbottom, quite rightly when all said and done, complained to the animal keeper that the lion had eaten their son. The keeper was quite nice about it. He said, "What a nasty mishap. Are you sure that it's your boy he's eaten?" Pa said, "Am I sure? Here's his cap." The manager had to be sent for. He came and he said, "What's to do?" Pa said, "Yon lion's it, Albert, and him in his Sunday clothes, too." Then Mother said, "Right's right, young fella. I think it's a shame and a sin for the lion to go and eat Albert, and after we'd paid to come in." The manager wanted no trouble. He took out his purse right away, saying how much to settle the matter. Pa said, "What do you usually pay?" But Mother had turned a bit awkward when she thought where her Albert had gone. She said, "No, someone's got to be summoned." So that was decided upon. Then off they went to the police station in front of the magistrate chap. They told him what happened to Albert, and they proved it by showing his cap. The magistrate gave his opinion that no one was really to blame, and he said that he hoped the Ramsbottoms would have further sons to their name. At that, Mother got proper blazing. "And thank you, sir, kindly," said she. "What, waste all our lives raising children to feed ruddy lions? Not me."
We have a trio coming up next, performing a song that Steve wrote specifically for the folk school. So please welcome Steve, Mary, and Julie doing a song about some of their favorite things. So we have two people that are coming out here singing, Steve and Mary. They have been doing morning songs quite often here, and so I knew I'd have a solid, dependable act to open the show with, or the second on the show anyway. And they've got a special song that they've written, and I believe they're going to bring somebody else on to help them out, who helped inspire it. You're on, Steve and Mary.
Yeah, this is Mary. I'm not. We were going to be out here as a duet, but then we came up and found out that there was a special guest here in Brasstown this week. She's a former host, and when she and I first did Morning Song together, she decided to pick a couple songs. I decided to pick a couple songs. One of the ones that she picked was from Sound of Music, and she's a big fan of Julie Andrews. Matter of fact, you're going to see that she sings just like Julie. All right? Her name is Julie Webster. We'd like to bring her out now. So she's the inspiration for the changes that we decided to make to this song. It's called My Favorite Things. You recognize that part. But then we thought about the little folk school motto that says, "We still make things." You know, you get the little hand symbol. And that just rang a bell. So we changed the lyrics in the second part of this song to reflect what a lot of you go through when you take courses here at the John C. Campbell Folk School. Ready?
Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, bright copper kettles and warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with strings. These are a few of my favorite things. Cream-colored ponies and crisp apple strudels, doorbells and sleigh bells and schnitzel with noodles, wild geese that fly with the moon on their wing. These are a few of my favorite things. Girls in white dresses with blue satin sashes, snowflakes that stay on my nose and eyelashes, silver white winters that melt into spring. These are a few of my favorite things. When the dog bites, when the bee stings, when I'm feeling sad, I simply remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad. Buttons and glass beads and tiscuits and taskets, baking and book arts and pine needle baskets, baubles and bangles and jewelry and rings. Here are the rooms where we still make things. Cooking and weaving and painting and writing,
of all musical jokes. Well, here's an accordion group that decided to take revenge and do an entire accordion sketch in a sort of an Arkansas Traveler type of style. So please welcome Those Darned Accordions.
That isn't good enough. How can you follow kids act? Well, how about an accordion act? Here we are, those damn accordions.
I read in the newspaper this morning that a band of terrorists kidnapped a busload of polka-playing accordions. And they threatened to release one a day until their demands were met.
I've done a heap of learning on this. Bob, you know the difference between an onion and an accordion?
No, Gene. What's the difference between an onion and an accordion?
Nobody cries when you slice up an accordion.
An accordion player had a New Year's Eve gig one night, and the entertainment director liked it so much he said, "Can you come back next year?" And the accordion player said, "Can I leave my accordion here till then?"
Hey, Pete, do you know how to make $2 million? You know, $3 million as an accordion player?
Wow, how do you make $3 million as an accordion player?
Start with $4 million.
David. What's the difference between an accordion and a watermelon?
I never thought about that.
Well, the accordion already has the lines to show you where to cut.
Girl. En français?
En français.
Good translate.
Si, ah oui.
You're in French?
Non. Ok. Donc c'est une jeune fille qui se promène et elle entend d'un seul coup « Embrasse-moi! Embrasse-moi !» Rien. Embrasse-moi! Embrasse-moi! Passe la grenouille et la met dans sa poche. Et elle repart. Elle dit « Je pense que je vais gagner beaucoup plus d'argent avec une grenouille qui parle qu'avec un joueur d'accordéon. »
You know what the difference between an accordion and a vacuum cleaner is?
No.
You have to plug the vacuum cleaner in before it sucks.
Why do people take an instant aversion to accordions? Saves time.
We have all sorts of talents that come to the Brasstown Follies. And here's an unusual act from a very talented lady. This is Linda Franklin, who's going to give a performance of a musical saw, and she's accompanied by Darren Douglas.